Greetings and welcome to this episode of Everyday Enchantment. I am your host, Stacey Andon, and I am here to talk about the question that is on everybody's mind, probably all the time. But I find that in summer, we really get hung up about losing weight. And for those of you who don't know my story, I'm going to share a little bit more about my own journey. And I'm going to share with you something a little bit kind of off the beaten path around losing weight. It probably might not be what you're looking for, and yet is going to be very, very interesting when you put it next to all of the things you've learned about losing weight and what have you your whole life. All right, let's get started. So, when I was 8 years old, little tiny me, and I was not an overweight child, not that that matters at all. My family decided that they needed to put me on a diet. And so interestingly, that being on a diet at 8 years old, I started to get this message that you cannot be trusted. You cannot be trusted with your body. You cannot be trusted with the food you eat. And we are going to dangle rewards out in front of you for when you follow and you do it the right way. Right. So this whole system kind of got locked into me at a very impressionable age and then has followed me till the middle of my life where I've decided to unravel it in beautiful ways. And if you are like, anybody walking on the planet, we are absolutely sucked into not only like major weight loss. Like I have heard in the last 2 months, so many people talking about losing the last 10 pounds. Oh my goodness. Like I can't go out in the world. I have to let everybody know that this is some badge of shame I'm carrying around with me. So I want to talk about that today because I was on the phone with somebody recently and she was saying, I can't, my body's not dropping any of this weight. I'm working out, I'm watching what I'm eating, I'm doing all these things. And my body is not performing for me. Not, she didn't say it that way, but that's how I am telling you. I'm hearing this because this is what I expected. If you do this, right, diet, exercise, I don't care what it is, whatever the flavor of the month is, if you do this, then you are attached to an outcome that your body then will comply. And very interestingly, a couple of years ago, I made a really big investment into a business mastermind, and I got something very unexpected while I was in there. And one of the things that I realized was I had a quid pro quo relationship with my body, with my business. And again, not all or nothing, but there were spaces where, again, I wanted something from my body. I wanted something from my business. If I did X, Y, and Z, right? This is the formula. If you do this and you are diligent and you are restricted and constrained and all of that, then this is exactly the result you should expect to see. However, what happens, right, when we don't create that result? That's not what happens. Well, then we start to think we need to try harder, or there's something wrong with us, or we're not actually doing the thing that we're being told to do as well, right? Like, so I started gaining weight, shocker, after they put me on a diet. I go back and look at my childhood photos and I look like just like a regular kid doing regular things. And then all of a sudden, this dynamic gets introduced and everything kind of goes sideways for me. And I am obsessed, right, with all these things because underneath all of this is this belief that I don't know what is best for me. I can't trust my own wisdom and my own judgment. So when you are trying so hard to make something happen and it's not, here's my answer: stop. I said to this friend on the phone, stop trying to lose weight. Stop trying to make something comply and be in this quid pro quo. If I eat 1,000 calories or whatever, then this is what's going to happen. What does your body actually want you to know? That is not a partnership you're in if you're, again, putting demands on yourself and so much pressure. And then to me, it's not even about what you're actually doing, but the energy of that then starts to go into this weird out of alignment place. So for me, I have lost a lot of weight. I've gained some of it back. I've lost it. What I started to realize and practice that changed everything for me was if nothing changes in this moment, and this is a big one, nothing needs to change in this moment in order for me to be okay. To be okay in my body, to be okay in my life, in my business, in my relationships. I don't need something out in the future, like those last 10 pounds or that extra $10,000 in my bank account. Fill it in, whatever it is for you, that you think getting it is going to create for you some place out in the future. My body is not here to be a performance or some exhibit A. It's not in the natural rhythm of how our bodies are moving on this planet. They're really not. I learned in a very, very like over many, many decades that the more I tried to force myself to comply or to be something, the more my kind of essential, my essence of me was like, F that. I don't want to do anything that's going to make me, right, some kind of exhibit experiment. And so I I really had to practice surrender. There's a deep surrender. And surrender doesn't mean you don't want to be in a healthy relationship with yourself. It doesn't mean that you're just like, okay, just I'm just going to go in opposition. No, it's about compassion. It's like, can I love myself, the part of me that wants to be a certain way, to be loved in this world or accepted or to feel good about herself? Can I be loving to that part of me? Can I take some of that judgment off and say, of course, we're all dipped in a world this has been conditioned and programmed, and so many powers over us that have been trying to tell us how we're supposed to be. So, of course, I'm going to get tripped up in this. Of course, I'm going to, again, be in moments where I feel terrible at times. Being in surrender, being in the state of allowing, being in partnership with yourself doesn't mean that everything gets like wrapped up in a neat bow and is perfect. And what I found when I stopped having an attachment to an outcome, I need this in order to happen if I do this. No, I'm just going to do whatever it is I feel called to do. Walk, take a class, do a yoga workout online, whatever that is. I'm going to do that because it feels good to me and my body, not because I'm trying to make myself be something. I want to be grounded. I want to be in this state of well being. And that definition for me is very different than anything that I've ever heard. I've tried all the things. When I stopped trying, when I stopped putting expectations, when I stopped being in rebellion, like, that attitude, like, I'm just going to do whatever I want because I'm like rebelling against whatever you're telling me, like, there's some work in there too. When you come to a place where it's like everything can get met with loving compassion, the most difficult thing that I think about myself, that I'm pressuring myself, I don't have to change my mind. I don't have to fix it. I just expand, right? You allow the space for that to happen. And whenever you create space in your life, I find the space is where the clarity comes through. when I really truly stopped attaching outcomes to things. Like if I never lose another pound, if I never make another dollar, if I never am in whatever relationship I think, whatever it is, fill in the blank. How is it already enough and okay right now? And interestingly enough, I almost don't want to say this, but interestingly enough, when you do that, you shift your relationship with things in such a way that I see it all the time with my own clients. Clients start to lose weight without doing anything, right? I've lost my own weight from doing like it just happens that way because you're not holding on so tight anymore. You're coming back into partnership. You're being in an honest relationship with your feelings, with your physical state. Sometimes we're in a lot of pain, sometimes physical pain, and we can't do the things that we really want to. And that can be some of the hardest rubs to just work through. So it's like, okay, I don't have to like this in this moment. And I am still going to show up for myself because I have learned, and I'm sure you have known this as well too, that beating ourselves up through something, shaming ourselves, dangling some carrot out there in front of ourselves, it might work short term, but it does not feel great and it does not work long term. Does it? If everything that was already out in the world worked, people would be in a different state. But I think that all of these things that don't work are leading us back to our own self and our own knowing. How you want to be in well-being, that is a very personal journey. What is success for you? What does that look like? That is a very unique proposition. You know the way. You don't need to know the whole way. Right now, if you asked yourself, what does my body need in this moment? What expectations, what am I putting on myself that probably doesn't even belong to me? It comes from so many other outside influences. This is the work we've been doing the last couple of years. So much deep deprogramming and deconditioning and stepping out and being the witness to our lives and looking at things. I had a mentor years ago who said, I can't remember how many years it was, but she calculated how many years and what have you that we spend focused on losing weight. It's a distraction. Yes, I'm all for well-being. This spending money and all this time and attention to be a certain way is taking you away. It takes me away from the magic I'm here to create. The more we come back into those spaces, those gaps of knowing, the more we can change and shift our relationship with our bodies in ways that feels way more loving and supportive than whatever the hell is out there. So it's a lot of it is turning down the noise and practicing that in a way that works for you. It's like some kind of energetic boundaries where it's like, I refuse to participate as much as I can, right? I curate my environment around me to support what I really, truly am trying to create. So if you want to lose weight, again, what is underneath that? Because if it's an attachment, if it's a model of success that somebody else has taught us, it might be time to let that go. Just saying. All right. I can't wait to hear what you think about all of this because it's a juicy topic. I talk about it all the time. I've talked about it in other episodes with lots of different guests in season 1. So if you want to go check those out, please feel free to pop back there. I'll link those in the show notes. I really absolutely want you to spend a moment thinking about one thing from this podcast that really helped you in this moment. Let everything else go and find that little gem, find that little piece. Maybe it's not even something that you resonate with, but maybe it agitates you. That's information as well too. And if you want to talk about this, I'm always having these types of conversations in my free Facebook group, Everyday Enchantment, where we are talking about living life on our terms, using intuition, using ease and fun, but not skipping over the messy part of being human, the messy parts, again, the things we've picked up along the way that we are in practice of doing differently. So join me in doing that differently and be part of this love revolution that I like to call it. And until next time, I hope that you have, and I know that you will have, a fabulous day.